I'm going to show you how to develop a complete Facebook ad strategy that you can launch from scratch for your e-commerce brand in 2025. I'll walk through setting up your account with the right campaigns, what creatives you should be running, and the testing system you should install, how to scale, and how to optimize your ads and campaigns from A to Z. This is normally what you'd pay a Facebook ads consultant or agency tens of thousands of dollars for, but today I'm giving it to you for absolutely free. For context, my name is Littlejohn. I'm the founder of We Are the Select, a top 0.1% meta ads agency in the world. I spent over $320 million on meta ads and driven over $1.6 billion in meta ads attributable revenue. And I've helped countless brands scale from 4 figures, 5 figures, 6 figures to millions of dollars a month. I'm also the founder of Meta Ads at Scale, the first coaching program that helps e-commerce brands at any stage of growth scale profitably with meta ads. And Meta Ads at Scale has now over 70 plus winning brands in the program. So with that out of the way, let's dive in. Step one, we're gonna talk about your ad account foundation and what campaigns to launch with. So first, let's talk about your ad account. If you're a brand new brand and your ad account has no data in it, meaning you haven't spent $1 on advertising, your ad account is a blank slate. So it's super important to train the algorithm on the right users and the right customers so you're reaching them the most effective way from day one. And that all starts with the core campaigns that you should launch with. First campaign that you should launch with is an Advantage Plus shopping campaign. This is Meta's most successful ad product of all time, and it works for all brands. And if it isn't working for your brand, it's a you problem, not a Meta problem. So this is the #1 campaign I recommend you launch from the get-go and get going and working for your brand. Second campaign I recommend you launching is a niche interest campaign. This is a campaign that really hyper targets your in-market customer based on the interest category that most reflects your brand or your products. A lot of people say interest audiences are dead, but they're actually very effective for new e-commerce brands and really effective at training the algorithm on who your ideal customer is. And the last core campaign I recommend launching is a broad campaign. Despite what you may have heard, Advantage Plus shopping campaigns are actually a different algorithm than a regular manual campaign from Meta. So it's important to not only run Advantage Plus shopping campaigns, but also launch broad campaigns as well, so you're most effectively using the Meta Ads ecosystem. Now let's move on to step 2, how you should be measuring data and how to set up your reporting columns. So the first data that you want to look at when you dive into your ad account is the impressions. Impressions are individual ads that people have seen, and also reach. This is the amount of people that your ads have reached. Impressions are different because people can see multiple ads, and reach is actually the individual people who are seeing your ads. So these are the first 2 metrics that I look at in an ad account from left to right. The next is the attribution setting. So when you set up your campaigns, you're going to be able to choose the attribution setting. The default attribution is a 7-day click, 1-day view, and this is what I recommend, but I also have this in the reporting just so we're able to see exactly what's going on in that campaign. Next, I have the bidding strategy. You always want to know what the bidding strategy is for any given campaign that's in your account. And as a new brand, I recommend using highest volume bidding only to start. The next metrics that you should pay attention to are outbound click-through rate, your outbound clicks, and your outbound CPC. Why this specific click is so important? Because outbound clicks are the clicks that actually end up on your website. Link clicks, all these other metrics, they're vanity metrics, and if people click to comment, click to like, those are all considered clicks as well, or even click to look at your Instagram page, right? We only care about clicks to your website, so it's super important you only measure outbound clicks. Next is frequency. I always have the frequency column in there just so we know how often each individual person on average is seeing an ad. So if your frequency, say, is 7 for the month, that means on average people have seen your ads 7 times. This is important because if your frequency gets too high, that means you're not reaching new people. Next is purchases. Obviously, we know this is the most important metric. Are people buying from your ads? And also conversion rate. So this is your purchases divided by your outbound clicks. This is super important, meaning at what rate or how many clicks does it take for someone to buy from you. Next is the budget, which is self-explanatory, and then CPM, which is cost per 1,000 impressions. And CPMs are important because you want to get the cheapest CPM so you can introduce your brand to people at the cheapest possible cost. Typically, if you have high CPMs, it means you're going after an older audience because they have lower average screen time than young people, or high CPMs mean you're reaching a really small audience and your ads are not relevant to a broad audience. Next is the return on ad spend, which is your revenue divided by your total ad spend. This is one of the most important metrics for e-commerce because it tells you if you're profitable, if you're break even, or if you're actually losing money from ads. So always be measuring your return on ad spend. And next to return on ad spend is the purchase conversion value. So this is going to be the actual revenue that your brand is recording on Shopify, and it's just showing in the ad platform, so you're able to really see that revenue in real time versus your ad spend. And the last two metrics are add to carts and cost per add to carts. These are super important because if an ad does not have purchases, it's important to see, are people adding to cart and at what cost? Because sometimes you can have a really good ad that just hasn't had purchases yet. And so you wanna make sure you're not turning off ads too early. So if an ad has really cheap add to carts and a lot of add to carts, then that means that you should wait a little bit longer before pausing out the ad. Now moving on to step 3, which is campaign structure. So I recommend running a full funnel approach. So this means building a full marketing funnel within your ad account. What's so cool about Meta ads is that they're the only platform where you can build a full funnel from awareness to consideration to purchase all within a single platform, meaning they don't need to actually go on any other platform to buy from you. You can bring them through the whole customer journey all within the Meta ads platform on Facebook and on Instagram. So that means prospecting campaigns, which are top of the funnel, middle of the funnel re-engagement, which are retargeting campaigns, and bottom of the funnel. That means running full prospecting and full retargeting audiences in your ad account. There's been a lot of hate on retargeting in 2024, but I'm calling in 2025, retargeting is back. Even though I never stopped running it, I highly recommend you run retargeting because it is like shooting fish in a barrel, and it's the easiest way to get people over the finish line. You start out with choosing an objective. Always choose the sales objective. Ignore everything else. This is the only thing that you should be choosing. And you should also only be optimizing for purchase conversions, nothing else. Keep it simple, sales campaign, purchase objective, just remember that. And on that same note, run highest volume bidding only. You don't need to mess around with cost caps, don't need to mess around with bid caps, only highest volume. Now let's talk about budget. When you're launching your core first campaigns in your ad account, you should not be spending more than $100 a day in your ad account. I typically recommend your first campaign to be $50 to $100 max because you should be able to be profitable at low levels of spend first. There's no reason to spend thousands of dollars a month or even a day in your ad account if you're unprofitable. You have to get profitable at low spend before you can scale. This is where most people go wrong. They think they got to spend 10K, 20K in a month to get data, right? Or to learn, to get learning. This is not the case. I recommend starting $50 a day, lowest $25 a day if you have to. Get some learnings on what works for your brand, get profitable, and then you can get back to scaling. So now that you have your core campaign set up, whether it's an Advantage Plus, it's an interest campaign, or a broad campaign, now we need to move on to building a testing campaign. So having a testing strategy is so important because these days the algorithm is very picky and choosy about ads. Meaning if you launch some new ads into an existing campaign, the algorithm is most likely going to favor the ads that are currently running. This was only a recent change to the algorithm in the last year and a half or so, and we've had to pivot and start testing ads separately in testing campaigns. The way I set up my testing campaigns is very simple. It's a broad campaign with ad set budgets, male, female, 18 to 65 plus, all placements. I recommend testing at lowest $10 a day budgets and at highest $50 a day budgets. It's important to spend the majority of your dollars on your existing performance campaigns and test with small budgets so you're getting answers on if an ad's a winner or a loser and not overspending on losing ads. When an ad is a winner, you will duplicate that ad from the testing campaign into your core performance campaigns, those being that Advantage Plus, that interest, or that broad campaign. Now let's move on to step 4, creative strategy. I'm going to go over the types of creatives that you should be running in 2025. But before we talk about the actual creatives you should running, I want to touch on products. It's so important that you start running ads with your best-selling products or products that you're suspecting that will be best-selling products. Too often I see it, brands will just throw up random products that have had no sales in the past or that they've never gotten any positive feedback on and start testing with those products first. This is a sure way to have a bad launch for your brand. It's so important that you launch with the products that will put your best foot forward. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the creative types, I want to talk about creative diversification. It's so important that you get each ad type working at the same time. The reason for this is because if you're only running static ads, you're only reaching static ad people, meaning there's some people that don't like videos. And if you're only running video ads, then you're only reaching people who like videos. So it's important to run static ads, run video ads, carousel ads, dynamic product ads, GIFs, you name it. But I'm not saying you have to tackle this all at once. I recommend taking it on one ad type at a time. So let's talk about static ads. Here are the different types of static ads you should be testing. Number one is an us versus them style ad comparing your brand to another brand with a nice big headline call out, which is a text-based hook. Next is value prop static. This can be just a photo of your product with the value props around it, really just telling people what makes your product unique. Next are ads that I call side-by-side static. This would be photo of your product next to your product in use. These are super effective for apparel brands, but I've also seen it work for brands in all niches. As of late, text message ads have done really well, or even comment style ads that look like they're comments pulled from Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. And as always, review statics always work. This can be as simple as just a photo of your product with a customer review overlay. And last is before and after statics. These used to be banned on Meta because of the acne brands that used to show before and afters and would scam a lot of people, but not anymore. Before and afters are back and you should use them for your brand. Whether it's a skincare brand, apparel brand, you can always use the before and after format and it typically crushes. Now let's move on to video ads. The first type of video ad I recommend running is a brand origin ad. This can be a slideshow of the early stages of your brand, photos with a narration. It could be AI voiceover or your own voiceover, and make sure to pepper in really early stage photos of your brand. This can also be captured with video. Next is the founder story ads. This is where you as a founder tell the story of your brand in a video format. Talk about your mission, your vision, your values, you break down your products, maybe pepper in some customer reviews and a call to action at the end. Next are product breakdown videos. You can do these by just pointing and shooting with a product in your hand, or you can be holding up the product and breaking down the product face to face with the camera. These do extremely well, especially if the founder is the one delivering the message. If you're an apparel brand or a brand that's dropping a collection with multiple products, I always recommend POV collection breakdowns. Again, this can be you pointing and shooting and breaking down each product in the collection, or it can be you walking through and holding up the different products and breaking down what's inside your new collection. These ads crush. Now let's move on to carousel ads. These are the most underutilized ads on the platform. However, they still can crush for your brand. I recommend taking elements of your static ads and of your video ads and figuring out how you can incorporate them into carousel ads. Meaning, how can you tell a brand story in a carousel, right? How can you tell your founder story in a carousel? How can you break down a product in a carousel? You can even do customer UGC carousels, right? A carousel where each card is a different customer, showcasing them using your product. Not to mention, carousels are easy to use to make before and afters, meaning the first card of the carousel is before and the second card is an after. And last are dynamic product ads. Dynamic product ads utilize your product catalog to serve ads to customers based on their user profile on Meta. There's not a ton of custom stuff you can do with dynamic product ads. However, there is a few things that you can customize. Number one is the caption copy. This is very important because Meta uses the keywords within the caption copy to target customers. And next is the headline. You can actually alter the headline to either showcase the product title as the headline in the ad, or you can edit it to say whatever you want. You can also add frames to your dynamic product ads. You can give text overlays, value prop overlays to your dynamic product ads. Dynamic product ads are very effective for brands that have large catalogs. These are typically apparel brands, jewelry brands, and any brand that has large catalogs. Now let's move on to step 5, audience strategy. Audience is a very debated topic now in the Meta ads universe, but I still stick to the same fundamentals as when I first started running Meta ads. I like to give the algorithm as many different jump off points as possible, meaning I like to utilize as much of the Meta ad audience products as possible, meaning I utilize broad audiences, Advantage Plus shopping audiences, interest audiences, lookalike audiences, engagement audiences, video views audiences, custom website audiences, and first-party data audiences. I use them all, and different audiences crush for each unique brand. So first, let's talk about Advantage Plus campaigns. So technically, Advantage Plus campaigns are a broad audience. However, like I mentioned before, it is using a different algorithm, but the point of Advantage Plus shopping campaigns is to do prospecting and retargeting within the same campaign. So technically, the audience within the Advantage Plus campaigns is completely separate from broad campaigns. Next is the broad audience. This is what Meta recommends everyone to go with from the start, and this has become the best practice. I have nothing against broad and use it in most of my accounts. However, some people only use broad, and I think it is a waste to only use broad and only have one jump off point for the algorithm. Next is interest audiences, and I really only recommend using interest audiences if there is an in-market interest that you can find within the audience manager. Next is lookalike audiences. So lookalike audiences used to be the premier technology when Facebook ads first came out. However, now they're really small audiences in compared to broad. However, they do have use cases specifically for high ticket products, meaning luxury jewelry, if you're selling saunas, if you're selling cold plunges, any products that have really high prices, lookalikes work extremely well because the audience pool is much smaller and these products do not appeal to a large amount of people. So it's great to use lookalike audiences for these types of products and brands. Next are the retargeting audiences. So the retargeting audiences that I use are first party data audiences. These would be audiences that you take directly from Klaviyo and port into Meta. My favorite first party audiences are all customers and the never purchased email list audience. Next are the pixel audiences. These are audiences that are taken directly from the Facebook pixel. This will be your purchases, your initiate checkouts, your searches, your add to cart, your view contents, and your page views. Next are engagement audiences. These are audiences that are based on your Facebook or Instagram page, and Meta tracks everyone who's commented on your ads or posts, liked your ads or your posts, sent you DMs, saved your posts. Meta has all this data, and these are great audiences to use on retargeting. And last are video views audiences. These are probably the least effective audiences because just if someone viewed your video doesn't mean they're that interested in your products. I prioritize video views audiences last because they are the least effective. Now let's move on to step 6, the optimization process. The best days to optimize your campaigns and ads are Mondays and Thursdays and Fridays. The reason why I do Mondays is because you have the weekend performance baked in, and then you optimize based on the weekend's performance. Then on Thursday and Friday, you optimize again based on the Monday through Thursday performance and get your campaigns and ads ready for the weekend. So you have your best foot forward going into the weekend, and you always have your best foot forward going into the week. Now let's talk about how to optimize your ads in your testing campaign. So the rule of thumb that I use when I'm testing ads in my testing campaign is that you want each ad to get 2 to 3x your CPA goal in spend before making a decision on the ad. So say your CPA goal is $10, you're gonna at least wanna spend $20 to $30 on each ad before making a decision if it's a winner, if it's a loser. Meaning, if you're hitting your CPA goal, that is a winning ad, and you're going to graduate that ad to your core performance campaigns. And if it's a losing ad, you're going to pause it out. One thing I always like to remind my brands is that if an ad is winning in a testing campaign, when you graduate it, you can still keep it running inside your testing campaign. We never want to pause winning ads. Keep it going in your testing campaign and have it running in your core performance campaigns as well. Now let's talk about scaling methodology. So we've optimized the account. We got all the best campaigns, the best ads running. Now, how do you scale? So there's 2 methodologies that I use. The first one is the 25% rule scaling method. The second one is what I call the double up method. The 25% rule is a much more conservative way to scale, but it is still effective. Double up scaling method is a much more aggressive scaling method. It's my favorite method. I actually invented this method, and it will take your brand from 0 to 100 real quick, but you have to be careful because it is risky. So first, let's talk about the 25% rule. 25% rule is very simple. It means you increase your budget by 25% every few days if you have a winning campaign or a winning ad set. The reason why it's 25% is because if you increase your budget by 25%, it does not set your campaign or ad set into learning mode again. A lot of people care about learning mode. I do not care about the learning period at all. It has zero impact on any decision making I make. It really doesn't matter. Now let's move on to the double up scaling method. This is the only scaling method that I use, and it is my favorite method, and it's very, very simple. When a campaign or ad set is doing well, you simply double the budget. And then you wait 2 to 3 days and see how performance goes. If it continues to perform, you can double it again. If it doesn't perform that well, you can leave it as is, or if performance drops, then you drop it back down to the original budget. This is how I've been able to scale brands extremely fast, both at my agency and both in my program Meta Ads at Scale. And all the case studies you've seen on my YouTube about brands scaling very fast, this is from the double up scaling method. Now let's talk about when to kill ads that are in our evergreen performance campaigns. When do you kill these? So typically, if an ad has been underperforming for 3 to 4 days straight, that is when I will pause out the ad. On the campaign side, I do not pause out campaigns. I just drop budget until I can get them profitable again. So if a campaign it has been performing bad for 3 to 4 days, I'll drop the budget in half and see if it can get profitable again. If it still doesn't perform, then I drop the budget down again. Pausing campaigns is a last resort. I recommend just dropping budgets down, launching new ads and refreshing and getting it profitable again, and then getting back to scaling. And last is step 7, where we're gonna go over some advanced strategies. First, we're gonna talk about product specific campaigns. So as you move along in your journey as a brand, and you have your core campaigns running, you might introduce new products into your brand ecosystem. An advanced campaign that you can run is a product specific campaign. This means you only run one single product in that campaign, and so the algorithm gets very, very, very good at finding people who like that particular product. You can also do collection specific campaigns. These are most utilized when you're launching a new collection, but can also be utilized for evergreen collections on your website, meaning t-shirts, hoodies, pants. These are all considered collections on your site, and running collection campaigns for your brand can be super effective because, again, the algorithm gets very, very, very smart at targeting people who like those specific products or those specific collections. And one advanced strategy that I'm a huge, huge fan of is building your ad account based on the architecture of your website. I've never heard anyone else talk about this, but this is what I utilize in my agency for some of the biggest brands that I work with. Meaning looking at your website and building out your ad account based on the different pages on your website. Meaning if you sell t-shirts, you sell socks, you sell hats, you sell hoodies, you sell jewelry, whatever it may be, you build out a campaign for every page of your website. This allows you to scale very fast while also having control over which products or collections you're pushing at any given time. Another advanced strategy I use with most of my agency clients is breaking out static only campaigns and video only campaigns. As you scale as a brand, you'll see when you have static ads and video ads mixed together that the algorithm starts favoring one over the other. So you get to a point where you turn one of the campaigns into a static campaign and then launch a new video campaign. You can do this with Advantage Plus campaigns, broad campaigns, interest campaigns. Again, this is how you scale by getting more campaigns to work. And the natural progression is moving to static only and video only campaigns. And last, this is the most advanced campaign strategy of all. This is building out campaigns based on customer profiles. You have your ideal customer profile, which is your number one customer, who's probably the easiest to get to convert. And then there are ancillary customer profiles who share characteristics with your ideal customer profile. However, they have different traits as well. So I'm gonna give you a quick example of this. So I used to work for a rug brand, and our ideal customer profile was dog owners. And that got us to $100 million a year. So we would only go after dog people for the longest time. And then we hit a ceiling. Then I realized what other customer profiles share some characteristics with these dog owners, but are completely different and that we can make completely different ads for. So I came up with 3 new customer profiles. Cost conscious, which was people who cared about getting the most value out of their dollar. Clean freaks, people who cared about keeping their house as clean as possible. And last was the sustainable consumer, someone who really cared about eco-friendly products. These were ancillary customer profiles that shared similar characteristics with the core dog lovers customer profile, but also had different interests. We built out specific campaigns and landing pages for each of these customer profiles, and this allowed us to scale past $100 million a year to $250 million and to even $500 million a year. And there you have it. That's the complete framework for launching your e-commerce brand from scratch with Facebook ads in 2025. I've shown you everything from how to set up your ad account and what are the first campaigns you should be running. Talked about creative and what static ads and what video ads should be running. I talked about how to optimize your account, how to optimize ads, how to optimize campaigns. And I also talked about scaling, how to scale your ads, how to scale your campaigns, how to know what winners are and how to know what losers are. are. If you follow this framework, you'll be able to build campaigns that actually convert. You'll be able to create ads that stop people mid-scroll. You'll be able to target the right customers at the right time, and ultimately avoid costly mistakes and scale your brand as profitably as possible. But here's the thing, knowing this is not enough. It's all about the implementation and the execution of these things. The real challenge comes with implementing everything correctly for your specific brand and products. At this point, you have three options. Option one is continuing to struggle with your Facebook ads, watching your ad spend go down the drain and seeing your competitors scale while you're staying in the same place. Number two is taking everything I've shared in this video and implementing it on your own. This means spending countless hours in the platform, learning on your own, making costly mistakes that could have been avoided, missing out on revenue while you figure things out, and dealing with constant platform changes without knowing how to react to them in real time. And the last and best option is option number three. Work with me directly in my coaching program, Meta Ads at Scale, where I guarantee that you will double your revenue in 6 months working with me, or I will work with you for free until we get you there. I give you my proven frameworks that have generated over $1.6 billion in revenue. I guide you one-on-one and help you avoid making costly mistakes. Personally guide you through scaling your brand as profitably as possible with Facebook ads. And again, I guarantee you will at least double your revenue while in this program, or I will work with you for free until we get you there. If you're ready to take the smartest path and work with me directly, click the link in the description and fill out a coaching program application and book a call. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. I appreciate all the love, all the hate, doesn't matter. And if you have any questions, I'll answer them in the comments as well. I'll see you in the next video.